Welcome back to part two of Song Cry, our episode with Mr. Rick Harrell, where we're talking everything masculinity, vulnerability, black men's mental health. This episode, Song Cry, we're jumping straight back in from last week. Let's go. Why do black men not want to cry?
Oh, wow. I think it goes back to these are some great questions. I did a seminar on it one time related to for men. Real men cry, or something related to that. Real men do cry. And I think a lot of that is due to uh, we've been taught societally, we've been taught in our homes. I even think from a religious perspective, we've been taught that men are not supposed to feel.
Mm-hmm.
We're not supposed to feel. And I can just go back to how I was going back to I was raised. I have some great parents, but you do find that everything your parents did was they did the best they could. They didn't do everything exactly correctly. One thing my dad would taught me was boys don't cry. I don't care if I fell off my bike and busted my knee, had blood running all down you don't cry, you suck it up, you be a man. You be quiet, and that's what I was taught. And so when I had coaches that I when I in school taught you, hey boy, you don't cry. You suck it up. You weak if you cry. So those 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 false messages have been instilled in black boys up into the manhood to where we're not supposed to have any emotions. Not
Mm-hmm.
supposed to feel anything. And so the best thing we need to show people that we're tough. Some of the issues that we see in our own city here in Memphis when we got young people who are out here who are committing, crimes or whatever. One of the things that I know in the work that I've done with young people that many of these young boys are angry. And that's the emotion that they want to show because they can't show that they're really hurt. They can't show if they show they're really hurt, it sends a message that they're weak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They can't show any weakness within their neighborhood, their counterparts, or the people who they're in fact engaging with. So it we're it's been instilled in us that men and boys are not supposed to have an emotion. You don't cry. It's a sign of weakness, when in fact it's really a sign of strength.
It's really a sign of strength. Yep. Now, I don't know if you've seen this viral TikTok trend. It's where black men are calling like their friends, homies, partners, whatever, at night. And like, hey man, I'm just calling to tell you good night. And just to see their friend's reaction is hilarious. But it's the feedback that they're getting is all it is like, hey man, what you calling me with that mess for? And like how do we make sure folks do know that vulnerability is a strength, and how do we hold space for our friends as black men, each other? How do they hold space for each other?
We got to, we got to, that whole, for some reason, that particular TikTok was played on me by my brother-in-law. Well, he called me, my wife was up in Atlanta with them visiting. I was still here. And I was back a few weeks ago, matter of fact, before I even saw the TikTok, he called me and said, he's the kind of guy, he don't talk like that. So I knew something was wrong. Very masculine and don't deal with his feelings. He don't talk with it. So he called me, he said, hey, bro, just calling to tell you, man, I'm just thinking about you tonight. Just wanted to just tell you, man, you're on my mind. I'm thinking about you now. I love you and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what's going on? 'Cause that ain't him. I'm like, so he calls, what you say? And so he was kept talking and saying this stuff. But I just want to, you've been on my mind, man. You're on my mind tonight. I'm just letting you know I'm thinking about you. You're on my mind tonight. So I said, man, what's going on? I said, I'm thinking like something, is he drunk? Or is he dying or something? What's going on? So I'm like, well, man, I hung the phone up and I called my wife. They all laughing. They're all laughing. And so he said, it's a TikTok thing. And so I looked on TikTok and I saw what was going on. And I'm like, ultimately, when I thought about that, Dr. Reagan, like, nothing's wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's wrong with that. Men need to talk. It is a challenge of masculinity to tell another brother that you love them. As I get older, I find myself really, with the people that I care about. I've lost some people over the years, still losing people, classmates, things of that nature. I think it's important for me. It's very
Mhm.
helpful for me and strengthening for me to tell the people in my life that I love them, male, female, whatever, you know. And so I tell my friends now we know that I have a bond with most of the guys that I deal with. Hey, brother, love you, man, love you, thinking about you. But so the TikTok thing wasn't really abnormal for me. It was just coming from him. I'm like, why are you doing this? You know. So yeah, I think that's more of what we need to be doing. I think it's healthy, mentally and emotionally, because it's as I hear the young people say, life be life.
Right.
Life throws a lot of curveballs, and it happens, and it's and a lot of things we have no control of. So we're created as being social beings.
Right.
Eat and care. Nobody on this earth makes it in this life alone. You can't. And so we need each other. We need and that's mentally, physically, and spiritually healthy for us.
Mhm. And that's all a part, I think, of like family, partners, your friends, like your support system to show up. Like folks always say, check on your strong friend or that's a part of checking on your strong friend is this level of intimacy that is a non-sexual intimacy. I think Black men often think of anything between men that's not overly masculine as intimate. And you can have vulnerable conversations that don't mean anything sexual.
Right, exactly. And what I find even with that, Dr. Reagan, too, I find men who are in when I have couples who are in therapy with me, one of the complaints I hear from a lot of women is that that they're not being fulfilled emotionally. And
Mm-hmm.
men who don't know how to provide for their mate emotion because they haven't been taught.
Mm-hmm.
And they're thinking that it's something wrong with me. I'm not masculine if I let my my wife know that I'm vulnerable. Well, if you can't be vulnerable with your mate or especially your wife, if that you probably shouldn't be in a relationship with that person, or because if no one else should see your vulnerability, is that person you've been married to for 25 years. And I see that quite a bit where men and women, well, it's not very well. It's not, if that if being vulnerable with people who you love challenges your masculinity, then you probably need to check on how masculine you really are. You have your perspective on masculinity is probably flawed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm getting to understand masculinity much better over time. They know how I was necessarily raised as a boy. It's not. I was always tough. I was the big brother in my household, so I took up for my sister and my brother. I very masculine, but I realized my masculinity goes far beyond me being a tough guy. People need to see that that ain't how I live. I don't live my life every day being tough. I live my life being caring. You don't do what you do in your profession, Dr. Reagan. You do what you do, Dr. Reagan, because you care about people.
Mm-hmm.
My real thing and my passion, who I am, is I care about people. And that's why I try to serve people in the manner I in fact do. And it's not in a macho way.
Right.
And so a true masculinity is not threatened by telling another brother you love him or complimenting another brother. Hey man, I like this suit you got on, man. That's really sharp. But there's nothing inappropriate about that.
Right. So what's your advice for a Black man struggling but unsure about seeking help?
I would say this, and I get that quite a bit. I know what it's like because I've been that person that struggled with seeking help. And so I would say, whatever the thing that's plaguing you, plaguing the person, one or two things are going to happen. Either you're going to deal with it or it's going to deal with you. And so to keep that thing from dealing with you, it would be a good thing to, in fact, to seek out the help.
Mm-hmm.
You have nothing to lose in seeking help. Other than you have everything to gain in terms of healing. Um,
Yep.
and so one thing that I see, more Black men are becoming open to that in a lot of ways, whether they're being introduced to it by their spouses or whatever. But there's a lot of work to do. in terms of that because a lot of black men do they hold
Yeah.
everything in. What ends up happening, it comes out in negative behaviors. And so that's my motto. The thing that's plaguing you, it will eventually take total control of your life.
Hmm.
Just like in the medical field, Dr. Reagan, if a person not going in to see the doctor, whatever that thing that probably could have been prevented if you were going getting your regular checkups, you don't know what's going on with you, then you know what? It gets to a point now that things big enough to where you can't get the help, and now it's taken. And so it's the same thing from a different perspective in mental health. You know,
Hmm.
you're not dealing with those emotions. And know this, I was at a seminar for the county a few weeks ago on a panel discussion. And one thing I talked about is that the mind, the body, and the soul works together. And if either one of those are off, you know what? It affects the other. So
Yep.
our mental health is not good. Trust me. You're stressed. You're the medical professional, Dr. Gray. We know that stress leads to a whole lot of medical issues. Okay, a lot of diseases. And
Yep.
so it's important. If I'm not mentally healthy, I'm probably not going to be very physically healthy. I'm not physically healthy. I'm not going to be mentally healthy. And
They
by
hand in hand.
they work all hand in hand. So I do believe in the body, the mind, and the spirit, the soul. They work hand in hand, and we have to exercise and check on those things on a regular basis.
Can I get mental health support without taking medicine?
Yes, you can, but if medication is needed, we're going to recommend you take medication. We're not we're not going to exclude that. And so, I believe in medicine. I take medicine, so I definitely believe it. And we know what the research says. The research is very profound that even a person who's having mental health issues, especially some of those serious mental illnesses like bipolar disorder, schizophrenia,
Hmm.
affective disorder, those things have to be treated with medication. The best results that the research shows is that when you do both
Right.
therapy and the medication, man, we get the best outcomes.
Hmm.
Our clients, our patients who are in fact taking psychotropic medications because they may have one of those diagnoses, I'm always pushing that. That's one thing is the further you still med compliant, making sure because if you're not med compliant, then you know what, we're not going to do very much therapy together. It's not going to work. So the person has to be stabilized and be in a mindset that um, that you need both. Now, there are people who necessarily may be dealing with a particular issue, don't necessarily need it. If you're not severely depressed and you caught depression early, you know what, and you coming in, you really got a marital issue going on, or something that's depressed you. Then yes, we can do it maybe without medication. If things progress, begin to get worse, then we're going to suggest you may need a little bit more help than that. But we know that it works. It works hand in hand.
And about therapy, because I'm a strong proponent for therapy, but as someone who is trying to pay for therapy, therapy is expensive. So what advice do you have for people who say I can't afford it?
When I say when people can't afford, I think there are resources. I mean, if you actually ever you go into therapy, you get in contact with a therapist that you can't afford, they should be able to help you access you to some resources out there that will pay for therapy for you. I think the state of Tennessee has a new program. I've been seeing it advertised on TV here lately. I got to check more into it where they pay for certain people to get therapy depending on, I don't know what criteria you have to meet in order to get it. But there are organizations out here that will provide services for a person who may be indigent or may be able to provide some services on a sliding fee scale.
Mhm.
I'm in private practice, and so yeah, most of my clients are insurance or going to be pay out of pocket. But there are situations and instances where I will do that work pro bono or on some type of sliding fee scale if we have see the person really has a need. Of course, being in private practice, you can't do that a whole lot, but try to do it, when it's necessary and somebody's really needing the help and just really can't. Or connect them to some places. If it's going to be long term, connect them to some resources out in the community that can provide the services. Don't just give up on it because you can't afford it. Really try to seek it out and find them where you can, in fact, go and see. There's some places that you can get that help from.
Yeah, that's really important. Like, don't give up. Keep asking, advocating for yourself, because there's somewhere somebody can help you or point you where you can be. Now, what tools or daily practices, if any, do you have or recommend for Black men to care for their mental health?
Oh, I think I always look at this. I talk about this and I have to, and I try to practice it myself. Self-care. Self-care is so, so important. I think engaging in the things you love doing. One of my hobbies is golf. I try to make sure that I do a lot of that. And it's getting hot out here now, so I'm having to pick and choose how I do that in the evening or early in the morning. But the hobbies that you enjoy doing, take time to engage in those things. A lot of people like to exercise. Exercise is something that's good for you that really, one of the things I do as well, try to do it in the morning times, not try to in the evenings in some kind of way. Taking care of self. I mean, whatever it is that I really believe my philosophy is truly, to work hard but play harder. And what I mean by that, no, I work a lot. I work more than I play. Gotta work. Well, playing more than work, I probably ain't doing too well financially. But when I do get the chance to play, Dr. Reagan, I'm going to play hard. I'm going to do, because if we're not taking care of ourselves, you know, we we missing out on life.
Yeah.
Missing out on life. We're missing out on our healing. So whatever that thing is that you do for yourself that brings you joy, I say engage in that. I say some tools would be also, if you don't have to go to therapy just because something's wrong. No, go and just, check on your mind and see how you do. You got to see a therapist every week. See a therapist once every 6 months if you choose to. Just see how your mental health is doing. See how you're doing. Or don't wait to that problem that's existing, that's begun, and you wait till it gets exacerbates into something much bigger. Go, some people go to the doctor when they nose running. Okay, so if something's happening that's going on, you see some symptoms of something that's happening in your relationship, something happening with you internally, externally, then go and see a therapist about that, and be preventive. I think that's preventive care in mental health as well. And so I just pretty much kind of preach the whole self-care thing, taking care of self, whatever that is that you enjoy and brings pleasure to you. You have to make sure you're doing it. It can't just be about work, 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 work,
Right.
work. It's just not good for you. So we have to take that time away and do something for self.
Well, thank you so much for all of your tips, tools, and wisdom. I really appreciate you joining me today, Rick. And we'll post in the bio Rick's information if you want to reach out to him or want to get into therapy. Hopefully, you're taking new patients.
Yes, we are. We're taking it.
Okay. And for everyone tuning in, here's your crown check for today. Your mental health matters as much as your physical health, and maybe even more. This has been your health check-in with Crown Talks. If you love this, follow, cover your crown, share, and subscribe to Crown Talks wherever you get your podcast medicine. Crown secured. See you next time.